Hey there, welcome back. I think you have already faced the issue of prop drilling. And if you don't really know what prop drilling means, I have this code for you. So let me explain, and then we will talk about React context and how we can solve the problem of prop drilling using React context. That'll be another way of learning React context as well. So here we have a list of friends. So this is how the data looks like. And then we are passing the list of friends with the props of friends to the user component. And now let's go to user component. And as you can see that we are passing the same data which is not being used in the user component, and then we are passing the data to the friends component using user props. And then finally in the friends component we are going to use those data using the using its own users props. Now think of this, we are only consuming the data inside the friends component, but we have to pass through this data throughout all of its parents components to the friend component, and then finally we can get a list of friends and render them out. And this is a big problem because when you are started working with an app, if you keep passing props within all of the components, it will be a big mess for you to maintain. So that's where the context API comes. Now we will convert all of these components to use React context so we don't have to pass the data from all of the components to the friends component at the end. So let's start by creating our context. So here we will create one app context that we will be used throughout our app context, which is equals to React create context. And now we have the app context. So now we will have to create a provider. In this case, it is going to be an app provider. The React context have this very interesting idea of provider and consumer. I think you already have an idea what they do. The provider basically provide the data to the consumer, so the consumer components can consume those provided data for its own use. Now we will have to create a new app provider component. Now all the components here are basically function-based components. So if I wanted to utilize state, we will have to use hooks, but I think hook is for another video. So today we're going to create the app provider in a class-based React component so we can easily manipulate state, and later on we can see that how changing a state updates the data using the context. So let's create a app provider class component. And it would have a state. So right now we're just going to have an empty state. Then it will basically going to have a render method. And now it will return an app context provider. So let's do it. Here is our app context, and it will be the provider. And within the provider, we would have the children. So we can do this dot props dot children components. So here we have all the children components, but we are not done here yet. The app context provider component has its value prop, and that is something we consume within a consumer component. We will see. But for now, just we are passing an object within the value prop, and the object is basically our state. And this is state, and this is the state for our app provider component. All right, now let's go to our app component. So the very first thing that we will do is we will be bringing our list of friends to the state of the app provider. So here what we're going to do is have it saying friends, and just paste the list of friends, and here it is. I think I misspelled it. Yep, that's good. All right, so now we have to wrap our root component using the provider component. So in our case, our provider component called app provider. So we're gonna have to wrap our root component, which is the app component, using our app provider component. Okay. So app provider, and then we have this here. Okay. For now, we are going to ignore this error message because we're not ready yet to render something here. Okay, so let's continue. So now our root component is being wrapped with the app provider component. So now it's time, I think we are almost there to start consuming the data from our provider. We would begin that by removing the friends props from the user here. And then let's go to the user component, and we don't need the props for now. And we also going to delete the user's props from the friends component. And from the friends component, we don't need the props. And now we will see how we can use the app context consumer to consume the data that we have from the app context provider. And this is also very easy. So all we have to do is to wrap our friends component using the app context consumer. So let's see how we can do this. App context consumer, and then basically we're going to put that inside the consumer. Now this is very important to remember that within the consumer component, React expects a function. So what do? We return a function. And here we would have the context variable. So now I'm going to paste my JSX here. I would have to return it. Now instead of getting the list of users from the props, we're getting it from the state of our provider states. So how we are passing the state in the value in a state object, and then so how we can get that data here is from the context variable. So context.state.friends, and then we run the map, and then we should have all the data here. So let's save it, and as you can see that it's working here just fine. So now we will do one more thing, is that we will try to update this state, and then we will try to understand that how we can trigger that function that updates the state of the provider within the consumer. So to do that, what we are going to do at first is that we are going to let's say we're going to add a new friend. So now let's write the handle new friend method. Let's say this is just going to add a new item to the list of friends. So set state, and we are going to add the new item to the friends list. So let's say the name is the name of the month, and let's say she has 10 stories. And then we are going to add the rest of the existing list of friends from the state. So this .state.friends. Okay, I think we're all set. So now we're going to add this handle new friend method in the provider. Here we are just going to pass the name of the method, though this name could be anything because it's just the name of the object element. Then we will just call it using a arrow function. So handle new friend, this should be this.handle new friend. From the provider, we can consume it with the name of the handle new friend. So let's go to the friends component, and here is our consumer, and here we have the context. So right in here we will add a new button. So we have the button here. Now on click event, we will consume the method from the context. Okay, so context and dot handle new friend. So let's save it and click on add new friend, and we have May. So what is happening here is that we are passing this action method from the provider's value with the name of handle new friend, but this could be anything. You can also call it add friend, and then you can get this method from the context dot add friend. Let's save it and let's try it one more time, and it works. So that's it for today's video. I will upload this code into a GitHub repository, and I'll be adding that link to the description of this video. And if you want to get notified about my next upload, do subscribe. So have a good day. Bye.